So, the Yeti has been one of the most famous mythical creatures that has been capturing people's attention for decades. However, legends about the Yeti date all the way back to ancient stories and folklore. Most of them come from the history of the Sherpa, which is a community of people that lives 12,000 feet above the Himalaya. Most tales about the Yeti describe the creature as a figure of danger to warn people of the dangerous wild animals that were living around. For example, one story described the Yeti as seeking revenge on people because they got tricked into fighting with each other and destroying each other as well. The Yeti is said to live in the mountains of Asia, bordering countries like China and Nepal. Alexander the Great once wanted to see a real Yeti, but the local people told him that the creature could not survive at a low altitude. The Yeti is also described to be muscular and covered in either dark grayish or reddish brown hair. It is also associated with having a rigid crown that gives it a pointed head appearance. Relatively speaking, the Yeti is said to be smaller than North America's Bigfoot, averaging around 6 feet and resembling the size of a teenage boy. However, sizes and shapes vary through different reports. In 1921, a journalist named Henry Newman interviewed a group of British explorers. They reported seeing large footprints on the mountain that their tour guide, attributed to Meter Coney, meaning Mender Snowman. Newman, however, mistranslated meter as filthy and thought that abominable would be a better word choice. He then created the name Abominable Snowman, and the myth took off, as well as luring many curious Western explorers into exploring the Himalayas. In 1951, Eric Shipton found mysterious footprints, like the one on the screen, about 12 to 13 inches long and about twice as wide as his boots. Numerous other explorers then ventured into the Himalayas to look for signs of the Yeti as well. One of the most famous researchers was Sir Edmund Hillary. He believed that he found a tuft of black hair at 19,000 feet on the Everest. He continued his search in 1953 but found nothing but inconclusive results on it. There's him sketching what he thinks a Yeti would look like in 1954, I believe. In 1959, the U.S. State Department created rules on how a person should behave if a Yeti was present. For example, to be with a Yeti, one has to pay a Yeti fee as well as getting an official permit. So that first one says you have to pay 5,000 Indian currencies in order to be with a Yeti. In addition, hunters also were told not to kill the creature, but instead have to photograph or capture it, which is the second headline. The third one says any news of a possible Yeti sighting had to be reported back to the local government of Nepal. In 1986, Anthony Woolrich, a hiker in the Himalayas, assumed that he saw a Yeti standing in the snow 500 feet away from him. The figure did not make any noise, but however, there were bizarre footprints that seemed to lead to the figure. In the following years, researchers returned back to the site and discovered that it was just simply a dark rock that looked vertical from the position where he was standing. In 2010, hunters in China caught a strange animal that they thought was the Yeti. So this creature was hairless and was thought to be resembling a bear at first, but was actually a civet, a small cat-like animal that lost its hair from a disease. A finger was later on found in 2011 in Nepal and was also believed to belong to the Yeti. However, it was later on revealed to come from a human corpse, most likely that of a monk. In 2013, Oxford geneticist Brian Sykes claimed that he has found a piece of the Yeti head, teeth, and tissue. He tested 37 samples out of the 57 that he received. 35 samples referred to animals like cows, horses, and bears. 2 other samples were eventually proven to be a match for a kind of prehistoric polar bear. So, to sum up, most evidence of the Yeti comes from sightings and reports. Realistically, there's a lack of scientific evidence to actually prove the existence of the creature. Not a single reporter has ever been able to bring out any solid pieces of evidence, regardless of famous online pictures that have been emerging for years on the internet. In addition, many people believe that Yeti sightings are rather just hoaxes and misidentifications of bears. So because of that, everyone should not be blinded by the existence of the Yeti. so long as the myth about the creature is still not scientifically proven to be true.
Questions about the Yeti? So in your estimation, what does the Yeti myth, legend, whatever mean to the local community? How is it important for them?
It is important for them because of many reasons. So it is a part of their history, so that they could keep on teaching the later generations on how to stay away from wild animals, using the Yeti as one of the dangerous figures. As far as my research went, also make Yeti sighting one of their sources of income. So people would attract tourists from many places around the world, and then told them that there was supposed to be this place where the Yeti was seen to appear, and then so one of the people from the village that is chosen to be the Yeti witness would take those tourists to remote valleys or deep places into the mountains, and then charge them for the service fee.
Okay. Neat. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.